The James Show Podcast.
We're still trudging through the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination last week, and I'm sure you slapped your head about 10 times over the weekend. I was slapping my forehead. I wouldn't be surprised if I have a hand. Do I have a handprint on my forehead right now? You don't have to answer that, Garrett. It's kind of a rhetorical question. Which Garrett is that even? I can only see the top of your head. Okay, Garrett 3. You're okay being Garrett 3, right? There's 3 Garretts that work here. This is the third one I met, so that's what we're stuck with. No, there's Garrett when I go on remotes. The guy that looks like Baby Huey. The Ginger Garrett. Should I call him Ginger Garrett? You know which one I'm talking about now? You don't even know who Baby Huey is, do you? You're going to have to Google that and laugh later. So I want you to hear this next. Dana Bash on CNN had the governor of Utah on, Spencer Cox, and she almost got in an argument with him because she was trying to clear up, okay, so what about the rumors that the shooter is trans or shooter's part of the LGBT whatever community? And he was like, yeah, we have a whole lot of evidence. And so she's saying, you're going to hear her say with like 2 follow-ups, are you sure 100%? There's no doubt in your mind that was the motivation. And what she's trying to get him to say is, well, no, I'm not 100%, or we haven't, close the book on this, or we're not 100%, or, we're open to the idea of changing, because then the headline will be, even the governor of Utah is not sure that that's a connection. And then it will say in the next paragraph or the next segment, next sentence, there's no connection. They will just report it, though. There's no connection. As of now, there's no connection. We just had the Utah governor on Sunday, and he said there was no connection. He couldn't be sure that there was a connection. So even though every bit of evidence that we have toward a motivation points toward that, this gives them an excuse to report the opposite to their viewers, which is technically true. But the spirit of what she's doing, very dishonest here, and she's doing it on purpose. Listen.
Some outlets are reporting that the suspect lived with a transgender partner. Is that accurate? And are investigators looking at this part of his life as a possible motivation?
Yes, definitely. And yes, I can confirm that. I know that has been reported, and that the FBI has confirmed that as well, that the roommate was a romantic partner, a male transitioning to female. I can say that he has been very cooperative. This partner has been incredibly cooperative, had no idea that this was happening, and is working with investigators right now.
And how is that relevant to the investigation when it comes to the motive? Are you learning that?
Sure. Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out right now. Again, it's easy to draw conclusions from that, and so we've got the shell casings.
Look, I love the fact. How is that relevant? Well, if it's not relevant, why was that the first question you asked? Oh, because you didn't get an answer you like. Now you're trying to dismiss whether or not it's even relevant. See what she's trying to do here? Now, the next follow-up's even worse, but we'll continue.
Other forensic evidence that is coming in and trying to piece all of those things together.
You said that the roommate is being very helpful. Has that individual explained to law enforcement what the mindset of the shooter was and whether or not it is connected to his ideology or his situation as transitioning, as you just described?
I'm not sure about that piece right now, Dana.
Okay, so we're not sure if that.
See, she wants them to say no, so she could go out and report, well, they don't even know the mindset of the guy. They even admitted they don't know their mindset of the guy. Just because the guy had a trans boyfriend doesn't mean that that's in any way connected. Yeah, just because Charlie Kirk's outspoken against that community, just because there's been a rash of other violence from that community, just because there are things etched onto the bullet casings from that community, doesn't necessarily mean there's any connection here.
That he was romantically involved, as you say, with his partner who is transitioning is relevant to the motive of the murder based on the investigation.
Well, sure. Again, all of these things we're trying to figure it out. I know everybody wants to know exactly why and point the finger, and I totally get that. I do too.
This is so dishonest. This whole angle is so dishonest. She keeps trying to probe. Is there any doubt in your mind? Are you sure? I mean, is that even relevant? Is there any connection even there? Just because we have every piece of evidence is pointing in that direction, are you sure that that's the issue? Well, no, but it's clearly the only motive we have thus far. What do you think? He was a Lutheran with a grudge? This is Chris in Plano on WBAP.
Hi, James.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, I wanted to clear something up on the Minnesota Senators.
Yes.
The guy that actually shot them was a Democrat that was mad with them for voting with Republicans on a bill.
I'm not so sure about that. The Democrats were mad for them voting with them on a Republican, but there's a lot of videos of this guy being very, very anti-abortion. Now, he was appointed by Tim Walz to some unpaid advisory committee, but that was a continuation of a job that he already had, and it was unpaid. So I don't know about that. I think the biggest evidence you have is that this guy's wife, I believe, I read in a report, and this is just off the top of my head, so don't crucify me if I'm wrong. I believe the shooter's wife worked for Tim Walz on his staff when he was in Congress in D.C., and of course, as a Democrat. So that would make his wife a Democrat staffer. But the jury's still out. I'll even give him that one. I'll even defer that we have people who were shot in the Democrat Party by a guy who seems to be anti-abortion. So good. There's one. We have so much more than that, though, just from this year.
Right.
That is almost like the exception that proves the rule. Because, when was the last right-wing assassination before that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you have to go back to like a 2007 abortion bomber guy. Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff, Chris. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Let's go to Doug in Dallas. You're on WBAP.
Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, one of the callers called in earlier about had to go back to Martin Luther King in the 1960s. The problem with that is James Earl Ray, the assassin, actually worked on the campaign for Democrat Governor Wallace. So I'll let you guys figure that one out.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that makes the Minnesota state rep's assassination the anomaly in the data. Pretty much, I don't know. I want to say there's got to be more exceptions out there. Other than the Minnesota one, every assassination I know of has come from either a person who's a complete psychopath, apolitical, like a John Hinckley or maybe Sirhan Sirhan. Everyone that is politically motivated, it's been from the left. Even when JFK was assassinated, he was assassinated by a communist. He was a guy, the bullet came from the left. Same thing with MLK. The bullet came from the left. Now, how many attempts were on Gerald Ford's life? It was like 2 in 17 days. Those were from the left. Ronald Reagan was a psycho. Donald Trump got shot by a guy who's obviously not a far right winger. And the second guy, this Ruth guy, you'd think we know more about him. But yeah, the assassin's bullet always coming from the left, metaphorically speaking, coming from the left.
I agree.
All right. Well, you brought up a good point. Thank you very much. Doug in Dallas is correct about James Earl Ray. Coming up next on The James Show, when I was growing up, Dallas Cowboys were always relevant. We had like a couple of dog water seasons there, but when I was born, Roger Staubach was the quarterback. I think they won the Super Bowl the year I was born, and then when I was in high school, they won a couple. When I was in college, they won one. Then they haven't done squat since. And so my next guest, John Ingham, he's part of the Cowboys media team, jumping back on The James Show. After seeing what I've seen the first 2 weeks, I think the doldrums are going to continue. I am not very optimistic about this season, John. I know we're only 2 games in, but talk me out of my skepticism, sir.
Can't do it, James. I'm right there with you because it's strange that I felt better after a loss in Philly than I do after a win against New York yesterday.
Well, how do we explain this to people who don't watch football and have no interest in football on why we're less happy after a win?
Well, I think that no one had any expectations of doing anything good whatsoever in Philadelphia. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They had beaten us 75-14 in total points last year. And so it was just natural to think that we weren't going to do well, whereas it was 180 from that yesterday. Everybody expected the Cowboys to win and win big. And so when you go to Philly on a Thursday night and you're the only game in town in the nation's watching and you perform that way, and they had their chances, but they came up short, there was a lot to feel good about that you saw yesterday. Everyone assumed that the Cowboys would win going away. They didn't. And there was a lot after the game was over that you left scratching your head and thinking, maybe we're not quite as good as we thought. And so it's really easy. I mean, when you go against the big 4,000-pound gorilla and you put up a good fight, then it's easy to feel good against yourself. And when you go up against the 20-pound weakling, and you win, but it's a battle, then it's really easy to see why Cowboy fans would be a little bit discouraged after yesterday.
Well, John Ingham, I think for the people who don't watch the game or watch football, I think they don't know that we didn't deserve that game. We didn't deserve to have it tied up and go to overtime. We only got there because of a miracle kick, a 64-yard field goal from the guy that's going to be our MVP for the year, Brandon Aubrey. We don't deserve this guy. He deserves to be on a better team if he's going to be making such amazing kicks. I mean, how amazing is that? A 64-yarder, like it was nothing.
Like it was nothing. And, he's got a 65, which is the longest in club history. And then a 64 yesterday.
And the NFL record for reference to non-football fans is what, 67 yards?
Yeah.
It's been done twice. And so that's the all-time record going back 100 years. And this guy almost did that.
He did that last year in the preseason, James. I think we were in Vegas last year, and he hit one in the preseason that was 67, but it was preseason, so it doesn't count.
Right.
But he can do that. He has done that, and it's just remarkable. I mean, we were sitting there working the game, and as we're working, we're thinking, just get to the star, meaning midfield, because if you can get to midfield, he can hit it. And it wasn't that long ago. You were just referencing Roger Staubach, who, that was my favorite player of all time. I grew up in that same era as you. And, it wasn't that long ago to when you would think, man, a 45 or 50-yard field goal is, wow, that's far. That's I don't know. I don't think we can do that. Now, with a guy like Butter Aubrey, 64, 65, that's, I think that his true range, James, is probably 70 to 72 or 73. It's just incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing. Okay, so credit where credit's due. CeeDee Lamb looked great. George Pickens looked great. Jake Ferguson really looked good. Dak Prescott looked pretty good. This running back we've got looked all right. All the downsides seem to be on the defense, just getting burnt, just embarrassing, like you're playing Madden football on a video game, burnt.
Yeah, and Matt Eberflus is the new defensive coordinator. He plays a lot of zone, and these guys aren't used to playing that much zone, which means instead of covering a specific person, you have an area of the field that you're responsible for. Typically in the past, they've just manned up against another player, and wherever he goes, that's where you go. And so it's a new philosophy. Deron Bland was hurt yesterday. A couple of weeks ago, if some of you may know that he signed a pretty big deal with the Cowboys, and opposite him, Trayvon Diggs really didn't do much in Oxnard in training camp. He didn't do anything in the preseason, nor did many of the starters. But I say all that to say they haven't had a whole lot of work together. They haven't had a whole lot of work in this new defense. I'm not making excuses whatsoever. You're still professionals, and you should do better than that, certainly. And I hope that they do. But Deron Bland didn't play yesterday, and he's probably going to be out again this week when we go to Chicago. And so, and they have more weapons than the Giants. And so it could be another rough outing this next week.
Agreed.
But hopefully the Cowboys officially signed Jadeveon Clowney, who was the number 1 overall draft pick a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he's big, he's fast, he's strong. He can get to the quarterback. And if you can get to the quarterback and get more pressure on him, that is going to help your secondary tremendously. And right now, the secondary needs help.
John Ingham, I'm standing by my preseason prediction of 7 and 10. Where are you at?
I told you last time, I thought that may be a little aggressive. I mean, after seeing what I saw yesterday, I think 5 or 6 wins is realistic.
Brutal.
But it is brutal, but they're doing things the right way. They're building this team like they did back when Jimmy Johnson was coaching. I was walking out of the stadium yesterday with Dixon Edwards, who was a linebacker that played for Jimmy. And we were talking about
we got like 20 seconds.
Okay. And he told me that this team is being built the way that Jimmy did, meaning he would take 3rd and 4th round players and put them in and hopefully get second to first round talent out of those guys. And hopefully that's what the Cowboys are doing with Jadeveon Clowney and a lot of these other guys that they're signing.
All right, I love the Cowboys, but I will tell you the truth when I don't think things are looking good. This is John Ingham. Thank you very much, sir. Coming up next on The James Show, more coverage on the reaction to Charlie Kirk, people getting fired in the state of Texas. We'll name some more names coming up next on The James Show, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, if your wife's saying, I want to paint the bricks. You know, my friend XYZ, her and her husband just painted their bricks, and it looks great, and it makes the whole house look new, and if we could just do that, you know, it'd be so much. Listen, make her happy, but don't paint the bricks. We don't do that anymore. Rhino Shield's a much better option. It adds some insulating factor that paint doesn't. It lasts longer than paint. It doesn't fade as quickly as paint. There's no peeling. There's no cracking. It's not going to start curling up at the edges in about 5 to 6 years. You're not ever going to have to deal with it again, and it'll look perfect. They can do all the colors, thousands of colors, whatever color you can imagine they can do. So that's not an issue either. So if you're looking to spruce up your house, if you're looking to paint your bricks, don't paint your house, coat your home. They've got 5-star reviews on Google, 8+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and you can find them at rhinoshielddfw.com. rhinoshielddfw.com. So a couple of follow-ups, some things that have happened since the James Show already started. Number one is the governor of Texas is sharing that the Texas Educational Agency sent out a letter last week saying, hey, if you have any questionable concerns about teachers or administrators in Texas public schools and their reactions on social media or however else to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, send us the complaint. We'll be sure to look into it. And if things are going too far, they will be dealt with accordingly. And so it was just maybe an hour ago, Governor Abbott tweeted that they're looking into it. Investigations are underway for approximately 180 teachers and administrators in the state of Texas. And if you can dismiss the murder of an otherwise innocent man just based solely on his political beliefs, you know, it wasn't just his beliefs, is that they were so hateful. Okay, so all you have to do to justify the killing of someone is deem their beliefs to be hateful. All right, well, then you're not qualified for a lot of jobs. You shouldn't be allowed to serve on a jury. You damn sure shouldn't be allowed to be a doctor. Oh, yes, I'm indifferent to the death of this guy based on his political opinions. Would you want to go to the ER and have this guy work on you? What if you looked up your Facebook real quick? What if you happen to be wearing a Trump shirt? Do you have reason to doubt that you would be getting the best care possible? Absolutely. Absolutely. You shouldn't be allowed to be a teacher. I'm not saying you should be destroyed, not allowed to work anywhere. But if you have that level of hate, if you think half of the country, because Charlie Kirk didn't believe anything extreme, he shared the same mainstream views as about half of the country. If you're dismissive of half the country's death based solely on their political ideology, then no, you shouldn't be a doctor. You shouldn't be a teacher. You shouldn't be a firefighter. You shouldn't be a cop. There's all kinds of jobs you're not qualified for. You shouldn't be a nurse. You shouldn't be someone who works at an insurance company denying people coverage, because now we have to question it. You really don't care if they live or die. So why are you the person making this decision? That doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound very promising. So there's a lot of that going on, and I'm interested to see what happens. Because the whole, I thought y'all were against cancel culture argument doesn't work. We're not the bad guys here. You keep shooting at us. Whether it's our ICE agents in Alvarado and McAllen, whether it's our kids who are trying to go to a Catholic school in Nashville or Minneapolis, whether it's Charlie Kirk who's just trying to answer a question about how the left is too violent in Utah, you keep shooting at us. So if you want to go ahead and lecture me for, you guys are too wildly cancel culturally because you don't want people to have jobs after they demonstrate they're terrible human beings. Okay, but you're shooting people. You realize that's worse. Another great follow-up is after Erica Kirk gave her message, I think this was on Friday. We'll continue Charlie's work. That's
the evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done.
Well, let me give you a little bit of an update on that part. Since the assassination happened, the report is that Turning Point USA chapter requests 37,000 new requests for Turning Point USA chapters following Erica Kirk's speech. That's amazing. We very well may have a group that had, a couple hundred chapters in college campuses across America be as common as a cafeteria on a college campus after this. You tried to silence the man. You only blew up his voice and made it huge. You can't win, Darth. Strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you could ever imagine. But, some people are a little hesitant. They think we shouldn't be going after them because this is a chance to show that we're the civil ones that can just turn the other cheek when something happens like this. But I don't know. If you're able to sort of rationalize an assassination in your head for someone for politics, not even a politician, just a speaker, someone that's not even in a position of power, never hurt anybody, and you're okay with that. Not only are you okay with that, but you think the rest of the world's going to be so okay with it that you're saying this stuff publicly. You've got a lesson to learn, and you shouldn't be around kids. 800-288-9227. This is John in Fort Worth. You're on WBAP.
Hey, how's it going?
Tough. Not very good.
Yeah. So this topic about the death of this gentleman has been on fire. I'm a high school teacher, and kids have been wanting to talk about it. And I'm worried about them coming at the teachers that say, hey, look, if you're going to be in this conversation, you need to hear both sides, make your own opinion, but that doesn't give you the right to take a man's life for his beliefs and debating over his beliefs. They're going to, I don't know, that's what's been worried about me.
Well, I think what's getting people in trouble here is there's not a both sides to this, because I've gone through the videos, and even in the worst case scenario of the worst montages of tiny little clips that take out of context, that completely misconstrue what the guy means, even if it was true, it doesn't justify the guy being murdered.
Agree with you 100%. But I'm saying you're trying to get into the conversation of politics, right? The kids. So be able to hear both sides. Don't just take it for, oh, well, they said he's, a bad guy because this is what he believed, right? You need to be able to hear both sides of the story. And like I said, it's just me, I'm a CTE teacher, so I'm kind of like on the outside of the teacher, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. What are you, in the vocational barn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? If you want to keep your job and not ever have to worry about it, just dodge all that. If you don't want to live in fear and you want to speak out, if you're put on the spot, go ahead and do that. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer unless you're saying, it's no big deal. You can murder someone over their speech. That's when it becomes a big deal. When you're dismissive of a human being being killed solely for their speech, okay, that's where I would draw the line.
Right, but what about those parents who believe that? And I'm telling them that they don't.
Look, that's up to you. That's up to you. If you want to put up with it, then go ahead and make the statement. If you want to live the simple life and not stand up for your beliefs and dodge drama, I understand that too. We all do it quite a bit. So I don't think there is a right or wrong answer on that one. All right, let's do some funnies to get out of here. Sometimes when I'm just goofing around on the weekends, I find something funny. I'm like, oh, you know what? You'd like that. So this is one of those. You would like that. The comedian's name is Derek Stroop. And while we're talking about kids' experience at school, he's talking about bus riders.
Because I was a bus rider growing up. I think that helped mold who I am today. Some of y'all were car riders. I know it when I meet you. Your hands are soft. No, you're not built like a bus rider. Car riders, your day started off with a Lunchable and a high five. The last thing you saw was a minivan full of love. Bus riders, our day started off with death threats. If you miss the bus, so help me. I'm in there ironing my pants. They're on me. I'm going, oh my goodness. And the bus was lawless back in the day. I grew up way out in the country. My bus was K through 12. The whole school was on one bus. It should not be that way. We grew up fast, man. I was a third grader sitting next to 10th graders. I was hearing words I couldn't comprehend, sentences I didn't understand. That's because the bus was the internet before the internet ever existed. It was Google on wheels, and the further you went on the back of that bus, the deeper in the internet you got. That last row was the dark web, my man.
Yes, bus riders, you feel me on that one? All right, that's going to about do it for the James Show today. Thank you very much for hanging out. If you need more James Show action in the ensuing 21 hours until I come on live again, there's a podcast. You can go check that out, WBAP.com, WBAP app. We also have a lot of good stuff that is on social media. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and all that good stuff. You can see some video highlights, some interviews I've done with celebrities, and you can judge me based on my appearance. Stick around. Coming up next, The Mark Levin Show. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.